All right, so we have some pretty big news here coming out of DC where their attorney general has filed a lawsuit against Amazon for violating their antitrust laws. And before I get into the details of some of this, understand that it's not a silver bullet. This isn't the end all be all for tackling giant companies like Amazon and the monopoly power that they have over a lot of these industries. This isn't the silver bullet, but it is the initial first step, and it's a pretty giant step. So here are some of the details. DC sues Amazon, accusing it of inflating prices and abusing its monopoly. So Washington, D.C. Attorney General Karl Racine is suing Amazon, accusing the online retail giant of unfairly inflating prices and stifling competition. The lawsuit filed in the D.C. Superior Court on Tuesday alleges violations of the city's Antitrust Act. So in a call with reporters, Racine said that Amazon has been, quote, illegally and abusing and maintaining its monopoly power by controlling prices across the online retail market for years. The lawsuit focuses on the restrictions that third-party sellers agree to when they list their products on Amazon's marketplace. Quote, third-party sellers have to agree that they will not offer their products anywhere else online, including their own websites, for a lower price than on Amazon. So, in other words, this destroys and squeezes out small businesses from the market, right? You can't possibly compete with this if Amazon is taking cuts from the products that you are selling, and that forces you to raise the price, and you're unable to sell the products anywhere else online for lower prices. Well, then there is no competition, and at the same time, you're draining these small businesses. And so they continue on. These provisions are known as most favored nation agreements, these contracts. And Racine, a Democrat, argues that these agreements raise prices for consumers by imposing an artificially high price floor. Amazon's fees paid by third-party sellers can amount to as much as 40% of the product's price, according to court filings, which then results in higher prices across the entire retail sales market because sellers have to agree that they won't offer lower prices anywhere else. Now, this is the statistic that completely blew my mind, okay? The 40% is ridiculous. They're taking almost half of the product's price as a fee and then expecting small businesses to be able to compete with that same pricing model elsewhere. It's completely unfeasible, but this is how Amazon has increased their control over a larger and larger share of the market. And how large is their share of the market? Amazon is estimated to have between 50 to 70% of the market share of online retail sales market. By contrast, the next two largest retail platforms, Walmart.com and eBay, have only around 5% of the market each. Walmart and eBay combined have 10% of the market. Amazon alone has between 50 to 70% of the market. That is absolutely mind-blowing and shows you the monopoly control that they have over the entire retail space. So listen, this is a good thing that they are bringing forward, this antitrust case against Amazon, and I hope that this is then the springboard to go and tackle these large, massive corporations in a broader sense, because because this was filed in DC and it wasn't done through federal courts, it's limited in the scope that they're talking about here. But even if you just address this one problem of them squeezing these small businesses, the ridiculous price caps or price floors that they force them to sell at, and restricting their ability to sell elsewhere, if you can tackle those problems, you can begin the process of starting to undercut Amazon's ability to engage in the predatory market practices that they have that have made them the giant profitable company that they are. So listen, when it comes to Jeff Bezos, the richest man in the world, all right, obviously owns Amazon, I despise the notion that this man deserves to be the richest man in the world, because all he's done, okay, he started with a $250,000 handout from his parents, a loan from his parents, okay? First of all, how many of you guys could get a $250,000 loan from your parents? I know I couldn't. But he got a $250,000 loan from his parents, started this company, which was basically just, hey, what if we had a bookstore but online? And then from there, it just became this ever growing process of taking over different portions of the market to funnel through his Amazon services. So he didn't invent anything. He didn't innovate anything. He's just taking up the entire retail market and putting it on his website, basically. And so this is obviously a situation where you have to break up Amazon if we're going to have any sort of competition within the retail space, which is a gigantic fucking space. Then you're going to need to have to break up Amazon, and you're also going to need to have to break up a lot of these other companies as part of this process. So here are the actual details of the what the lawsuit is claiming specifically. So they say Amazon raises prices for consumers, that Amazon's agreements that we just talked about harm consumers by artificially inflating prices they pay for products purchased across the online retail market. When third-party sellers sell on Amazon, they must pass on the cost of Amazon's high fees and commissions to consumers. obviously raises prices, stifles competition in the online retail market. Amazon maintains its dominance in online retail by preventing other platforms from competing on price to win market share. The most important factor in online shoppers' purchasing decisions is price. By ensuring that third-party sellers cannot offer lower prices elsewhere online, Amazon insulates itself from meaningful competition. And finally, deprives consumers of choice. Amazon's anti-competitive actions have resulted in less choice for consumers in the online retail market, suppressed innovation, and reduced investment in potentially competing platforms. So listen, even if you are a capitalist, right, you should be in favor of breaking up Amazon, because what they're doing is they are reducing competition. They are potentially reducing innovation, right? So these are the same market arguments, the market-based arguments that capitalists make all the time. So if you're a right-leaning person, if you're a left-leaning person, everybody should be able to agree on this. What Amazon is doing with these policies that they have in place is totally unacceptable. We need to break up Amazon. I hope that this case is successful, and furthermore, I hope especially that this is just the springboard to a larger project of taking on the monopolies throughout the United States, because it's not just Amazon in the retail market. This goes across the board, especially with big tech companies like Google and like Facebook and all these other companies. We need to start breaking up these companies, returning ourselves to some sense of having any sort of competition where it's not just one company dominating an entire industry, and we have no check, no balance of power in this situation whatsoever. So in addition to that, Amazon workers deserve a union, and one person like Jeff Bezos should not be able to collect $100 billion or close to it over the last year as he has, while his workers are still fighting for living wages. They're still trying to unionize as Amazon continues to crack down with their illegal anti-union practices, and they're also doing the stuff that we just talked about here. So Amazon needs to be broken up, as well as a lot of these other companies, and I hope that this is the initial springboard for that to actually happen.